Do you think there can be a contender to those two behemoths with huge distribution channels? Like OpenAI has all the hype, Google has Android where they're pushing Gemini. Do these folks with great products have a shot?
Personally, a huge fan of Brave, not instead of Perplexity, as a different completely experience. Brave does not personalize search. So totally against what I said, they are doing the other thing. If users are ready for this, yes, they can win. If users are not ready for not personalized search, they're in trouble. I think most of the users are not ready, and a small percentage already use them. I think Brave, they integrate Leo, which is their assistant, into their search results. Typically, for informational queries, that's all you need. So they are fantastic, and they are way better at providing specific results than for example, Google AI overviews are. I think the trial ruling for the DOG trial will say everything, because if Google will be broken down and taken away the Android power and maybe Chrome power, it might become a very different landscape. But we don't know what the ruling will be until 2025, September, I believe, which means we don't know anything enough to say that. What's the future?
I agree that, but I think that the reason why we have Alphabet is because Google always knew that it was going to be broken up. The moment they announced Alphabet to the world, most of us knew that they were going to be broken up, and they were preparing themselves to be broken up. So I think they've known for a while that they were going to be cut into chunks, because that's what the US does. Canadians, we're much nicer. We're like, you know what? It's okay if there's corruption, just as long as, you make it fair and everybody gets a job. We're fine with whatever corruption you bring our way. Just look at Canadian politics, and Toronto is mostly run by the mafia, but it keeps the streets clean and there's very little crime. So, ups and downs. So they knew that they were going to be broken up. But I think one of the things that worries me the most is that kids today, younger people are using ChatGPT as a search engine already. And the answers, as we know from my examples, it hallucinates. But younger people that haven't been taught critical thinking, just because that's, a university level thing, it's not what you do as a 12-year-old, like my niece or my nephew, that's too young for critical thinking. They're going to ChatGPT, they're finding information about Roman warriors, and it's wrong. But they then absorb that information and they go out to the world with it, and they think that Nero saved the Roman Empire by fiddling. We're not going to say what he was fiddling. Taxes, apparently. But it's just, I think that I like what the other search engines are doing. I like that ChatGPT is coming out with a search engine. My concern is just that as with all large language models and anything that's not handled by human beings, and math, I love math, but math has its limits. Human beings are needed. So I love what's coming out. I'm just a little bit old and therefore reticent to see too much change, because there's some errors in the system that I'd like to see ironed out first. Or the AI can start chasing rabbits and dogs instead of the rest of us, and we'll be safe.
Hopefully. Yeah, so the young kids, well, I see this a lot, especially my younger friends, and that scares me. That I had some heated conversation about, is it true? ChatGPT said that, and I have to do like a huge lecture. But have this change affected your business? Do you see change in how your customer get the result that they expect with you?
Do you want me to start? So as I mentioned as I teasered, this is being recorded. I'm so worried now. I'm like, my clients are going to be like, Judith, did you really? One of my clients deals with large amounts of data and whatnot on a daily basis, and they do use AI. As I mentioned, don't use it, because you saw what happened, right? We all saw what the results of not listening to Judith were. But they have to, because it's a problem for them to not do it. So the results that they're seeing are actually other people that have used AI, and because they're writing everything by hand, everybody else is getting there first. Everybody else is getting there before they can get there because they've used AI or they've used LLMs to write the answer. So my clients, when they're looking at this, it's getting really tempting to try to beat other people to the punch. But I think it's a short-term gain for long-term pain. One of our competitors wasn't listed on that, and I was very careful on the screenshots I chose and which article I went for, because one of our competitors, big competitor, completely slapped out of Google for using AI. So it took a few months, and we did lose income during those months, but once they were slapped out of Google, we gained. So I would say that my clients, while tempted, except the one that didn't listen to me, while tempted by AI, aren't using it as much as maybe some other people are.
In my case, my clients are very cautious with anything they do because the level of approvals they have to go through to change any single wording on their website. The AI is not even on their agenda at the moment. So I think it's a lack of being an international SEO consultant, because international companies with certain brand recognition, they just wouldn't want to afford this kind of risk. So I don't have any real life examples, because people who are very serious about their messaging, they would not risk it.
Unlike me.
And do you think it affected the way that ranking works, that the content is ranked right now, all these changes?
For sure, yeah.
I want to say one thing, and I'm sure most of the audience will know this. English-speaking SEO and any other language in the world, not the same thing. Google detection systems, not the same quality. Own Google guidelines and rules, not applied the same way to the secondary and third tier markets. So I feel like we live in this wannabe kind of situation where we want Google to detect things they promise they will, and they don't. But it's a question of time. And I was never a black hat SEO to kind of assume I will be caught at some point. I always was on the whiter side. I want to say grayish, because after the Google leak, I had to check in with myself and understand I'm not fully trusting Google and what Googlers say always. But I'm still leaning towards general consensus of what they say instead of just going against it. So I feel like in Polish, in Spanish, and in Latin America, the most I've seen, we're still waiting for Google to meet their promises of how the algorithm works and should work. So yeah, AI content is ranking where it shouldn't, and it's high.
Yeah, so for anybody in non-English markets, have at it. You have some 6 months to a year to rank well. Just don't do it with your money site. Take on the old-fashioned pursuit of buy a different domain, build all your content, have it out there, enjoy the money while it comes in, and then when it dies, you have your money site that's still ranking, and those other ones have gone by the wayside. There's, I do a bit of black hat. There's one guy out there who used to do a lot of black hat in the affiliate area. He's known as WebMonkey Ash, for any of you still on Twitter or X. And he actually ended up leaving the affiliate space and building a company. And he sells car mats now. So, hey, he has physical products and goods that he sends out. He's not just an affiliate. He still does a lot of affiliate stuff, but most of his income comes from physical, hard goods, actual real stuff. So, you know, in non-English language countries, go ahead, do it, go crazy, but buy different domains, have a different So, geez, I'm gonna sound horrible right now. Take this as you will. I have 5 or 6 laptops, 3 of which are marked to never connect to the internet in my house. They are only for remote. So if you're gonna do this in a non-English language country, of course, have a laptop that has not touched the internet, or strip it and reinstall it from a cafe somewhere. So strip it in one cafe, go somewhere else, reinstall everything in the other cafe, and trust me, you need to do it like this. Or just buy somebody else's used laptop, or buy a new cheapy laptop. But it must never touch your network, have completely different Google Mail. Oh, geez, I sound horrible.
Different Google accounts.
Different Google accounts. It must never touch anything that other stuff touches. Other languages. Rank for whatever you want, from using LLMs to build your content out. So, write stuff, get it translated, get it up there, rank, make money, but don't connect it to your money sites. And that way what you've got is you've got quick and easy cash, and then you've got your real long-term brand building money sites that are on different websites, different laptops, maybe you want to cut all this out, different laptops, different everything, so that it's completely separated. If at any time you cross the streams, you will be busted. So there was a guy at a conference I was at in Dublin. We were talking, and again, maybe we should cut this part out. We were talking, and one of the things he said was the moment a iffy SEO was added onto his Google Search Console, all of his sites that SEO was added onto took a penalty. Did not get out of that penalty no matter what they did until he was removed. Maybe not the second he was removed, but still, Google is looking at these things. So if you're going to do something dodgy and you're going to use AI to build, I'm not saying that you are, but you're totally white hat, and maybe I'm not. If you're going to use something that is not white hat and that you're going to take a risk on, separate it out completely from your money sites. Make sure that the computer and everything never touches a website or an IP that your money site's on. Keep it separate, make the money while you can, and keep the money site separate. So if you're going to do this, be careful and be wise.
So you need
Maybe don't do that, kids. Just say no.
So you need a kind of CIA level of cleanliness and cautiousness here. But that was nice intro.
And now everybody's like, Judith, what are you doing?
And all those things, all this change, all the change in the user experience, how do you think it will affect the users in short term and long term? What do you expect the market will go? Where the user preferences will be?
I would love for Google to lose some of the market share. I don't know who's going to take it away, but Bing might just make a small comeback, because people don't want to stick to the same old, always, forever. There will be always a group of kind of very, very loyal users. But even 5 or 10% of Google's market share globally would mean a lot for any other competitor. So maybe Bing, because Bing has been ahead of the game, as we said. And Bing is investing very highly. And Bing is powering other search engines than just itself, like Ecosia and like DuckDuckGo. It's indexed, not its ranking system, but still. So maybe Bing is going to get a small piece of this pie. Who knows?
Yeah, DuckDuckGo has TV commercials in the UK, encouraging people to switch from Google to DuckDuckGo. So maybe to move away from that intrusive, watching your every move kind of thing. I would encourage you to try other search engines than Google. I'm not anti-Google. And actually, because ChatGPT hallucinates so much, and there's so much misinformation on ChatGPT, I'm still a Google or Bing, or even Yandex is better than Google sometimes, or ChatGPT especially. I mean, Yandex is better than most stuff except for Google and Bing. But I would encourage you to use other search engines, Sesnam, or anything. He's like, Sesnam, Jesus, wow, how old are you?
No, it's from Czech.
Yeah, it's Czech Republic, yeah.
Welcome in Poland.
Well, something other than Google. But anything. DuckDuckGo, yeah, DuckDuckGo. So if we use DuckDuckGo and something other than Google, but not ChatGPT as a search engine, and I think it's great that they're bringing one out, and I hope that they work hard on it so it doesn't hallucinate like ChatGPT generally does right now. But maybe, I want real, correct information out there, not misinformation, and that's what I'm most worried about with other search engines, but obviously not Ecosia, not DuckDuckGo, not Bing.
With all this amount of data that LLMs collect about you, like a few days ago, I think ChatGPT started sharing the context between the chats, and some people didn't realize it, and it felt funny when you encountered it the first time, and with Google, with the Gemini, and probably to some perspective Apple Intelligence, they will know everything from your phone. will it become more personalized with all this information? What do you think?
I think the limitation is that creepy factor, because there's a limit that people are okay with it until it becomes creepy and intrusive. And I think the moment it becomes creepy and intrusive and scary, people will back off, and companies don't want that, because the moment you lose trust, it's almost impossible to get it back. So you can push the limits, but the moment it becomes scary or intrusive, you'll lose your audience forever. So you have to be a little bit careful about sharing information between chat sessions. That's great, because like I said, I should just copy those 3 answers, give them to my husband, depending on the argument, and 1, 2, or 3, just shut up now if you want your dinner made. It's like, but I think if it gets scary, people will immediately turn off and go somewhere else and not go back. We are all digital marketers, or most of us are probably digital marketers, and some of us are here for snacks, I don't know. But most of us are digital marketers, I hope. And as a result, we're not the target audience. We're used to things, and people, normal human beings that are not digital marketers, are not. And that target thing from 2012, that's the creepiness factor that you and we're probably like, yeah, whatever, let's just go. But other people would be like, whoa, wait, that's not cool. And I think that's what Google with their Gemini, Bing, and everybody else has to really be careful of, because that could turn somebody off. And in the thousands, it could turn people off, and then we'll lose them. And that's money.
I agree with Judith, and I have a question for the audience. How many of you believe that your phone, no matter the make, listens to your conversation and bases your ad targeting on what you say? Can you please raise your hands?
See, everybody thinks.
Half. I'm not raising my hand. I actually don't believe that. I think the systems are so good in detecting it. It makes us think. It's so defined because it heard us, not because we're leaving so many other traces. But typically, it's 50% of a room in many rooms I've been in. And that's very interesting, because I think what Judith says is true, but also we're starting to accept the creepy part. Because if 50% of people believe it, but still use the Android phone and have the Meta apps installed, they are okay with it in a way, or okay enough. So are we getting used to the creepy bit of being a human being in the internet world? So I agree, but I also wonder if the society is changing and our trust levels are different now. And I'm not going to answer that question. I'm going to leave the food for thought.
That's really interesting. That looks like you can get rid of creepy factors step by step, like this. So like
every panel, just creepy, less creepy, less creepy. And now, yes, we know if you're pregnant or not.
Do you think at some point there will be concerns about privacy and data security in that perspective?
I think in EU we have to think about the legislation and legislators and how far they're going to go and how much they're going to intervene with that. I don't think it's just the market anymore. It's more than that. But I don't know enough about politics to actually know what's going to happen in the next years. I don't know if anyone does. So I'm just going to leave it there. That it's more legislation maybe than marketing or SEO.
Yeah, I think the privacy issue is difficult to handle through politics, because if we look at what the EU does, it's very slow to respond to some things, especially the threat to privacy by things like LLMs and chatbots that are sucking up our information. And the reason why we think that our phones are listening to us is only because if we have a conversation, we become aware of something, and then we notice the ad, and it feels like it's intrusive, but it's not. It was always there. We just didn't notice it until we were open and receptive to it. And then suddenly, oh, hey, I was just talking about mattresses yesterday with Bob down the street, and now, look, I'm getting an ad for mattresses. And I just realized I did that as a gendered thing, and it's talking about having affairs. So intrusive information, and I think privacy is a very difficult thing. It's a data issue, isn't it? The volume of information you could theoretically hold is too expensive. And that's why Google now no longer uses a full page and actually uses bits of the page, no longer renders and assesses the whole page, because it's expensive and it's money. And I think the only thing protecting our privacy at the moment is money. It's too expensive to be too intrusive.
At least we can thank capitalism for this. Nice side effect. Nice. So let's try to like look in the future. Where do you think it's going? What will be the next change when the paradigm of digital marketing search will change?
So many years ago, I surmised that what would happen is a change of interface, which is already happening with Alexa and with Google and those in-home devices that we have, like Amazon Echoes and things like that, and Google Home and things like that. And we're now speaking a lot more to our devices, and we're searching for things more on our devices. And I think, ultimately what's going to happen is cute little robots that are like little. Has anybody seen, what is it, Big Hero 5? No, you're not cartoon fans, Disney fans. Big Hero 5? No? I love Big Hero 5. Watch it, or at least find it on YouTube. It's very cute. But it's Baymax is this inflatable health robot that's like, I am your pal, and it's cute and it's sort of cuddly. And I think this is weirdly the future, is that we'll interact with things rather than a mobile phone or a computer, is that we will talk to things and get answers from things. And I think it's going to be that kind of a future where we interact with things rather than screens, and we're moving away from computers and typing into Google what are the play times of the latest movie. We're now going to say to our device or our cute little cuddly robot, like, what was it, Wall-E's Eva, Eva, what are the local movie playtimes, and Eva will then respond back to us and maybe have a little visual output as well, depending on how we respond to the device. But I think, weirdly, that's the future, but not with Terminators.
Yeah, interesting. I might see that happen. I'm gonna put a different idea in case I'm right, great, and if I'm wrong, that's fine, because we don't fucking know. So I feel like we're going to the era of, already that's been happening for a while, micro-influencers. Then it's micro-bubbles, because we all are in our own bubble, we don't even know what the other bubbles are like. And then it's micro-channels, because we are all in a very fragmented experience of internet, and we very much use different things for different things. TikTok people, very much into TikTok and discovering places and trends through TikTok and recipes. And then those who are not on TikTok, not even aware of that, like 2 different worlds, 3 different worlds, 5 different worlds. And I think the next thing could be micro-platforms for every purpose. And I think China has done that in a way, because they have a different search engine for e-commerce things, which is Shenma, as opposed to Baidu, which is there's Google. And I think Amazon has tried to become the search engine for all e-commerce things, but they've not overtaken the search engine market enough just to be that search engine association. They are still an e-commerce platform. But I think potentially in the future, we might see discoverability through like organic kind of awareness thing, be different platform from purchase decisions through depending on the service or product you want to purchase. So maybe it used to be like that Facebook wanted to do everything for us, Google wanted to do everything for us. They launched all those products like Google Plus to be also a social media and a search engine and whatnot. I think now it's done, and now we might have again many smaller players for very specific purposes, and they might be the best in it. But who knows?
There's a nice picture in there. It's not dystopian. Thank you so much for this. Okay, so now we have I think around 10 minutes. We can take questions from the audience. So if you get a question, I encourage you to have, because this conversation is amazing. You can get and you can deep into experience of our expert. So just raise your hand. Valeria will be there with the microphone, and you can ask questions.
We've just scared everyone, I think.
Ask questions or disagree with us, because we are not talking about hard data. So it's very much an open discussion. So please, anyone who has different opinion, that's your time. Yes.
I have more like a question about
I think there's a mic coming to record it.
Yeah, because I think that there's somebody recording stuff, so yeah.
So it's on,
Yeah.
on tape.
So from one presentation we saw today that Google doesn't like AI, and from another presentation, from the introduction to the meeting, we saw that Google shows more and more AI answers. And Google is a website, and google.com, and it uses AI. So what about the justice of that? Any thoughts? Isn't it a hypocrisy from Google's side to do that? Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I said. Surely, if Google is okay with AI and it uses it itself, it should rank AI, right? I don't know. It is a hypocrisy, but I think what Google would argue is that since the announcement, let's say, of them for Mum, is that they have been trying to consolidate and then answer questions. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think the people who have worked really hard to find that information and research it and then present it to people and search engines deserve the click. It should not be consolidated and delivered in the search results where you don't get the click. However, we are seeing citations in the AI, so to speak, generated results. So is it fair? No. I would like to see, like I said, because AIs hallucinate, and it's the math in and of itself will not prevent the hallucination. I can't conceive of, nor can my brother, the math that would be required to prevent the hallucination. So you always need the citation so that people can actually click through and check for themselves. Obviously, not my niece and nephew, they're still a bit young, but as you get older and you learn about critical thinking, you need to be able to click through and check that that information is accurate. No, I don't think it's fair. Google's using AI itself, delivering you AI results, and utilizing it and not letting people who utilize it rank. You're just like, yeah, I totally agree with Judith, 100%. What she said.
Yeah, I just had like, I don't know, maybe it's an interesting term. It's like hypocrisy from the side of Google, but this is they've got a thing with the Department of Justice going on, like them upon their monopoly. They've used their position. They can.
Let me explain you ChatGPT how does it works, okay? So every time you open the new window in Chat, you got random temperature. It's from 0 to 2. So if it's 0, it's not lying to you, it's not hallucinating. If it's 2, it's completely lying. It's because they want to have the random results for users. Okay, so if you open and it will be like 1.3, you're gonna show us the result that's lying to you, because it's gonna say, oh, iPhone 16 looks like this, and it's like an iPhone 20 looks like this. It's gonna lie to you. So every time you open the ChatGPT, it's randomly pick the temperature. So if you're working with ChatGPT, which is RAG, it's programming RAG. So it's like, don't be afraid of it. Why are you afraid of it? It's like, it's a tool. Are you saying that you unplugging the laptop and stuff like that, just use locally elements. You can download it for free, like from Facebook or something like that. Don't be scared of it, because it's like I think you're a little bit paranoid about that. It's for people, and you can, if you use it correctly, it's gonna be great. And if you put the temperature, you ask them by prompt to put it on 0.7, it's never lied to you. It's gonna create good content and answer what he knows, and he will not be creative. He's not gonna lie to you. He's not gonna hallucinate. So don't scare people, because and you guys are here. I know what happened here.
So according to the math, if we look back to ChatGPT 3, you could actually set the temperature. So part of what you had to do in GPT-3 was you actually had to set it before you actually asked anything. So the setting was part of what you had to do just before.
Well, I'm talking about like 4.
So we're at 4.5.
4.0.
Okay, so 4.0 publicly released. But if we go back in time, if we can go back to ChatGPT, well, not ChatGPT, it wasn't called that then, but GPT-2, like that was crazy. I remember setting temperatures at different levels to make it just hallucinate like crazy. But Janelle Shane, who I think has written amazing stuff on this topic, is really the authority on this. So while we can try to get close to a non-hallucinatory algorithm, there are elements of the algorithm that they're always going to be tripping up the math. So the math in and of itself is not lying to us. It's math. And math is absolute, except imaginary numbers. But besides that, math is absolute. And nothing that we have invented or created since then, except I think right now there's something in science that has to be reassessed. But everything else has only been proven true by math. And the math is absolute. From GPT-2 forwards, the math is absolute. And it will only hallucinate.
It's LLM model.
It's math, but everything is underpinned by math.
It's about predicting the next word. Okay, the next
Which is
thing.
math.
Okay, the next thing. The originality. Okay, this tester is also LLM, right? It's programming RAG. So it's finding what people. How does it work? They got the sample written by human and they got the sample written by AI, and they find what's the difference, right? So right now, in most of us here, I think in Poland, we humanize this content. But if you put some articles written by human, sometimes it says it's written by AI. So it's like it's not a good checker. We got a problem with customers right now because they say, oh, we got the content written by copywriter, and they say, oh, this is written by AI. So like, don't use it anymore because there's so many other ones, because it's still LMMs. You know, it's only checking. Is it writing in the old way, like you say, GPT-2 and the other one, but the new ones, you can ask them, like you can give them the sample of, I don't know, Shakespeare or something like that, and they say, can you write like this? And it will not say it's writing by AI. So it's like, if the customers think doing this, just say them no, because it's not tested correctly.
Yeah, I think that problem where it has been identified that non-English language speakers, their content will be flagged as AI more often than not. So like 85 or 90% of the time, non-English native speakers written language will be flagged as AI. And it actually has to do with the way that language is used versus how English language is used. And yes, Google has invested a lot. And back in 2012, they were buying PhDs. I mean, people. That sounds horrible. They were hiring people that had done their PhD on specific elements of language, and they have not stopped since 2012. So they've worked really hard on language comprehension. And GPT and the modeling of GPT is mostly mathematicians who speak English as a first language. And unfortunately, that's exactly the bias I was pointing out. In hiring, in healthcare, in everything, it's got to do with the training models and the math. And unfortunately, we have biased our models on native English language speakers. And so non-native English language speakers get flagged up as AI. It's not fair, it's math. And we have to fix it. But it takes time and it takes professionals. But it will be fixed. And again, we shouldn't trust it because if Natalia writes something and I write something, hers is more likely to be flagged up as being written by an AI than mine is, simply because I grew up in Toronto and she grew up in a non-English as a first language speaking nation. I mean, Poland, and then now you're in Spain. So unfortunately, the way that you use language is then flagged. It's got to do with the placement of words and the assumption of the next word. As you say, the math that calculates it out, it's not right yet. But it's good, it's amazing. Let's not diminish the work that these people have put into their amazing systems. It's just not quite there yet. Yeah, my younger brother, as a mathematician, has worked on a lot of algorithms. I don't want to diminish their work. It's crazy. The amount of work that they put in is crazy. And all respect to them, yes, I sit here and I'm totally like judgmental. And I'm like, you're not doing a good job, are you? But they've done an amazing job so far, so hats off. And anyone who's looking to read more on AI and these systems, Janelle Shane is an amazing author on things AI. So Janelle Shane, she puts out a weekly newsletter as well, and she has some hilarious, amazing examples of how it works and how it doesn't work. You should see her unicorn cake.
Let's wrap it up, and I would love to ask you to provide just one short recommendation for entering the era of generative AI in search?
Oof, just one.
Just one, yeah.
I think people search to people, not brands and not texts and not companies. It's people. So as lucky as I am to have companies who believe that, I think it's still a long way until just pure text will take over human language, human connection. So I believe in human-centered marketing as a whole concept, whole line of thought, and how you create your brand and how you create your communication. But I know that it depends on the industry and market as well, and I'm lucky just to see that from my perspective.
Obviously, the old strategies are the best. The foundational SEO stuff that you should be doing is the most important thing to be doing. But as Natalia said, I work in the wine industry. So yeah, and anybody who doesn't want their chocolate, I'm in. I work in the wine industry and also in food, and stories are what sell. So with generative AI, if your website has your story, that is what's going to pull through into that snippet. What's the best wine from Portugal? What's the best wine from Spain? What is the best wine from Barcelona? I'm thinking you're going to go with cava, but well, and from the area, yeah, cava, really. A little bit too much churro sometimes, but yeah, it's really nerdy. But like the wine industry, we sell wine on stories. And that is what sells product and services, is stories. My clients come to me because they've heard of me. I don't sell myself online. I don't think I've updated my website since pre-pandemic. No one comes to me and hires me because of my website. They do it because they know the story about me and the fact that I'm almost never available, so they get in a queue. But your product and your service is going to sell on your story. So please, when you're optimizing your website, when you're putting things together, make sure your story is there. Optimize using the old-fashioned 2000 and whatever, I don't know, 1999. I've been around in this industry since 1996. Use the same techniques we were using then, and accept the stuffing, don't keyword stuff. That doesn't work anymore. Use the fundamentals and get your story out there. That's what people are buying. They're buying the story.
This is beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us.